Whiskey 9, 7 November, interrogative Alpha Bravo. Negative Alpha Bravo. And this is 7 November Golf. Roger, request you check your Romeo side. I'll go ahead and check my Tango side. 7 November Golf out. And 8 Claw, 7 November, say again. 7 November, go. I copied a while ago, 1 Charlie transmission that my can use and 8 5, this is 7 November, Charlie. 8 5, right now. Now 1 Charlie, 7 November, go.
This is 1 Charlie, welcome to your last. You're granted 158 extra 5 stars, 1200 between teams and local. Also request your unit take outbound records to see if we can try to get 59 and 8 for pause to the playground.
And this is 7 November, Roger, stand by. Got that. Got it? Alright. And all units, this is 7 November Golf. My unit Alpha, Echo, X-ray Alpha Alpha in there. One Charlie, Alpha Bravo.
Hey, I never took a dip. I forgot to take a dip.
Whiskey 9, 7 November, interrogative Alpha Bravo. Whiskey 9, Yankee, 7 November Golf, over. Whiskey 9, go. Whiskey 9, 7 November, interrogative Alpha Bravo. Whiskey 9, Yankee, 7 November Golf, over. Whiskey 9, go. Whiskey 9, 7 November, interrogative Alpha Bravo. Negative Alpha Bravo. And this is 7 November Golf. Roger, request you check your Romeo side. I'll go ahead and check my Tango side. 7 November Golf out. And 8 Claw, 7 November, say again. 7 November, go.
All right, welcome to the live stream. You know how it goes. If there's no questions, there's no live stream. So ask me your VA disability claim questions. We'll have at it again. Don't forget, I got something in my eye. What's going on? I got sweet tea from Chick-fil-A. One of my favorite drinks. I'll put it over here. Do not forget to join the Discord. Okay? Join the Discord. That's how you're informed on basically everything that I'm doing. We have people in there that answer questions. There's everything you need is right there. Okay, let's hop on it. I got about an hour today, a little less than an hour. My kids got some dentist appointments. So here we go. And we're back with Clayton. Over to you. Oh, yes, the weather's very nice today. A little windy, a little chilly. Got to rep the hoodie here. Okay. Afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being a member. I appreciate that. Just got the message from Discord. That's why you should join Discord. What's up? How's it going? Has there been any updates on sleep apnea? No, there have not. No, there have not. But what I do want to do is actually link a playlist for you, because when there is an update, I'll cover it. And then I have all the changes in one playlist. So if you have any questions in the future, you can just check the playlist. Here's my algorithm. Veterans Daily. I have to watch this at some point. Some youth ministry stuff. Okay, so you go to the channel here, World's Best Mediocre Channel. Hit playlist. All VA changes in one place. I'll link this for you. It'll be down here. It has links, everything you need. You can see sleep apnea, mental health, tonight. It's right there. Okay, so at the bottom, is where sleep apnea is at. But VA, my caps is on. VA changes playlist. Boom. There it goes. All right. To answer your question, no. All right. Thank you for being a member. Daniel Flynn says, hey, Double Dog, what's up? I appreciate all the information and all you do for veterans. Thank you so much for your insight. Thank you for being a member. And thank you for commenting. Okay. Appreciate that. Reckon I'll get a question in real quick. You absolutely should. I'll go to that here in a second. My PCP refuses to diagnose me with neck strain, just neck spasms. Can I request a new primary care? You can talk to patient advocacy. I'm assuming you're talking VA healthcare. I'm sure you go to the private route. That's your decision. I can tell you from a evidence perspective, I assume that's why you're asking it. You're going to have an SCT or a treatment code. I'm going to link another video that really talks about the importance of treatment codes through VA healthcare for VA claim reasons. It is, I'll talk about it, but I'll just summarize here. This is going to really do what you need. Okay, so what you told, find your current diagnosis. What I'm reading from a VA claim perspective is you are getting treatment right now for your neck. Whether you're diagnosed with neck strain, neck spasms, I don't care what it is. You're getting, something's happening with your neck, you're getting treatment as an SCT code in your VA medical records. For VA claims, that's good enough. Ideally, you want the formal ICD diagnosis, which you very well could have. You just don't know. But for VA claim purposes, that's good enough. I am more concerned about your evidence from service. That's what I'm more concerned about, assuming you're going direct. All right. Hey, we have a gifted membership. Thank you very much. Pi High Marine, I appreciate that. I don't really know how that works, but I assume you give it to someone. Maybe it trained them. I don't know. I do not know at all. How do you become a member? I don't know that either, but looking at my screen here, nope, not that screen. Looking at, I'm watching me live, watching me. There's a join button right here. You can also find it in the description. Okay. Back up to where we were at. Here we are. Had an ace for GERD today. Good sign or what? The ace isn't good or bad. It depends on what your evidence is. I can tell you if it's like GERD via Terra connection, that's difficult. Not really common. You'll see that really for like a higher level review in GERD sometimes. They'll do a Hail Mary claim of a DTA error there. But if it's like GERD secondary to mental health, you've already been diagnosed with GERD, you already have documented symptoms, you're on medication, where that looks like for you, it's likely going to be an ACE. So there's Terra there, there's secondary, which Terra is arguably the same thing as a secondary claim. And then there's the direct service connection, which I don't know if it's common for GERD direct claims to warrant ACE. It wouldn't be out of the question. I'd be curious as to how you filed the claim and then what your evidence is, specifically if it's direct. That way it would at least lend me some type of thought process as to why the VA would schedule ACE. I think that's from the intro. I don't know. Whiskey 9, Yankee 7. Yeah. November Golf Bravo. Yeah, I think that's the intro thing. I don't know. Hello, I just got my decision letter back and question a few things. I want to look at my CMP results before I do the higher level review, so I'm not waiting anyone's times. I tried my VSO, regional office, and Vera. Yeah, you're going to have to submit for it formally. Through your regional office would be the fastest route, in my opinion. Yeah, you got to request it, dude. Sorry. If your VSO is unwilling to show you, and same thing with the regional office, they're unwilling to show you, then you have to formally request that, which absolutely sucks. I don't agree with, but that's the answer. Okay. No luck. I have FOIA and it's been, oh, I see that. Yeah, so you have your FOIA in. So you've already requested your entire C file. You could have just requested the CMP exam results as well. I would probably give it 1 to 2 more months and you should have your CD thing. My suggestion is if you just want your CMP exam results, I would request your CMP exam results specifically versus the whole shebang. All right, love sweet tea. I do too. And I'm in Northern Virginia, just south of DC. I could like ride an electric scooter to DC. That's how close I live. Sweet tea up here ain't what it is where I'm from. So I got to get Chick-fil-A sweet tea. Thanks for going live and answering questions. Yeah, no, thank you for being here. Appreciate that. I get out on the 26th. But I'm still on step 5, even though I've done everything, appointments, etc. Should I be worried even though I did my BDD claim and completed it all in February? What are you worried about? Ain't nothing to worry about. You're just in the waiting phase. So you could get your claim on the 27th. It's unlikely. Or your rating on the 27th. Unlikely. You could get it within the first month. That happens a lot with BDD claims. You could get it in 3 months or 6 months. There's no rhyme or reason to that. I would actually recommend you just stop checking the status of your claim. And since you're transitioning to plan for your life, I would make every decision as if you're not going to have a VA rating. So don't count on the income when it comes to like moving, buying a new home, whatever that looks like for you. The assumption that I would recommend is just act like it doesn't exist. So that way, when you get it, you are living below your means. And I'm saying that from a transition perspective. Mr. J says, I'm in step 7, waiting to get the letter, but I already know they are deferring my presumptive asthma for the 2nd time. Okay, that's weird that they would defer a presumptive claim. I'm curious if you had asthma prior to service, then it would no longer be presumptive, but thinking that's probably, if I had to put money on it, that's probably what's going on. Can I claim a primary and supplemental claim at the same time? Yeah, sure. Why not? Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Hi, Clay. Recently rated at 100% PNT. Congrats. Thank you for being a member, by the way. I still have 12 deferred claims. Should I wait for those or should I cancel? I'm worried about the VA changing the rating. I would not cancel those claims. I would write it out. Attend your CMP exams. You've already made it. The VA is not going to tinker with your rating. All right. Unless something really wrong, like they awarded you 100% for mental health, but really you rate 30 and the evidence is there and it was a clear mistake, then they will. If that's not the case, which is likely, highly, highly likely not, I would still go to those CMP exams. You submitted the claims, still treat them as such, but you have nothing to worry about. Okay. So don't cancel it. You can, that's an option. It's not really a big deal. But hey, whatever. That's what I would do. Simplify, sir. Hello. Quick question. What's the usual turnaround when adding my wife to Champ VA? It's about 6 months. Okay. It's about 6 months. 6 to 8, as I've seen people report. And I'm sure that fluctuates. So if you're going to do it, you should do it now. Thank you for your service. Thank you for yours, Mr. Lionheart. Appreciate that. I have a claim in the decision phase for migraines, and I got a concussion at work. I've been to the hospital 4 times now for migraines. Am I at risk of them denying me because of my new injury? I'm going to assume you were diagnosed with migraines or migraine-like headache symptoms, whatever that looks like for you, prior to this concussion. And if that's the case, you're fine. I'm sure the concussion aggravates it. I'm not concerned about that. I'm more concerned about the basis of service connection. So is your migraines direct or is it secondary? Then, after you answer that question, what is your evidence for the basis of service connection? That's what I'm worried about, not necessarily this injury that happened post-diagnosis. I'm also assuming you've been diagnosed. If you're diagnosed after the concussion, that definitely causes some issues there. So it just depends what that looks like. All right. Is the VA taking longer at claims now since the initial round of layoffs? I have an increase that is taking longer than it did last year in both or for one condition. There's no indications that say that. In fact, it's the opposite, where February they processed more claims than ever before within a specific time frame. Plus, VSRs are part of that critical position, at least as far as I understand. So although someone gets laid off, that's not necessarily a claims processor. I'm saying VSR broadly there. We have another gifted membership. That's your second one, Pi High Marine. I definitely appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yob was gifted a membership. Does it say who the other gift was for? Because I probably missed it. Oh, Dallas Marquez was gifted a membership. Thank you very much, dude. I'm sure they appreciate that. Make sure you join the Discord. That's where the magic happens. Hey, you actually brought up a point that I really want to hit on. I hope it comes across. Good. When 100 hits, we get generous. First off, congrats to you, okay? Second, the generosity piece of being 100, especially for those working full-time, is just really, really, really good foundational. My personal beliefs in Christianity, obviously, that's where that stems from. But yes, being generous is a key part of what that looks like in action. All right. Thank you. I went to a CMP for GERD. The doctor said my claim was changed from a secondary to PTSD to a Terra claim. Any clue why the VA would do that? Yeah. I'm going to assume you were denied GERD secondary to mental health, and therefore the VA scheduled a Terra exam. That's probably why the VA would do that. So you're probably, assuming you get denied for Terra, you're probably going to get denied twice, which is like a double punch to the face. Sorry. Hate to be the one to break that to you. That's probably what went down. Mary Kearney, sorry, just applied for and approved for total property tax exemption in Philly. I'm saying Philly, you get the point. Philly passed a new law for VA disability amount to be excluded from the maximum income requirement, FYI. Hey, that's awesome. That is, I see that, Pi High. That's funny. Thank you, though. I definitely appreciate that. Just know that I love you anyways. Not because you donated, but because you exist. Let me put this as a note. PA recent law change on property tax for veterans. Boom. All right. Awesome. Thank you for that insight there. I appreciate that. Thank goodness I just filed my claim for sleep apnea. Yeah. Hey. Good on you. Thank you for being a member, JJ. Says, is radiculopathy pain enough for secondary rating, or must it cause a range of motion issues? The testing's going to change for CMP exam purposes, but pretty much if you have radiculopathy, they're looking at your there's like a gravity thing to it for the new criteria when it comes to testing. In actuality, what it looks like is your C&P examiner is going to sit you on the bed. They're going to take their fingers here or like a rubber hammer, and they're going to hit your knee. And normal people goes like this. And you react. People with radiculopathy, especially when you're sitting down, it's just going to do nothing. Okay. So depending on what that looks like if it's boom, or if it's like a little bit, or if it's none, they can kind of judge the sciatic nerve damage from their pi high. Again, 5, dude. So that's 7 in total. Pi high Marine, thank you very much. Thank you for your service. I definitely appreciate that. Now I really love you. I did lose my spot though. Let me get my spot back. Yeah, so if you have sciatic nerve damage, absolutely submit the secondary claim. Because there's a bilateral factor there too, assuming it's in both legs. Have a question about my secrecy agreements and what I can say or not say to my attorney. I don't know what you're talking about. And I don't know why you would put that question on live to begin with. What do you mean what you can say to your attorney? Attorney for what? I got 30% sleep apnea, but I was prescribed a CPAP. Should I apply for an increase? I would look at some timing of rating, timing of being prescribed, what that looks like first. Probably the answer is yes. I would also look at your apnea episodes. Okay. CPAP is just a treatment. There's mouth guards, there's mouth tape, there's a lot of other treatments. I'd be more interested into looking at why you were prescribed a CPAP, assuming it was because your apnea episodes were really high that you need the CPAP. In that case, you'd submit the increase. But timing is going to come in place here. If you were rated, now you have your CPAP, yes, I would submit the increase. Andrew 4831 says, seems like recently any appeal wasn't done on the proper paperwork. I've got a handful of other veterans I know had that happen as well. What's going on with that? Anyone else? If you're doing appeals by yourself, I would just do them online because the VA will handle, like if it's an HLR, it's an 099, it's a 0996. But if you do it online, you just click a button. The VA will handle it. Same thing with supplemental claim or the board. I don't know why. It depends on what you're talking about. Could be talking about the supplemental on the increase denial thing, which is a CCK thing that I just talked about. Okay. Charles Russell, does VetCom just use the veteran recommendations for items to claim, or do you think they sit with you and go over your medical records? They will sit with you and talk with you and figure you out. So they'll do the 5 steps, okay, 5-step process. Increases, secondaries, denials, new claims, and presumptives. They'll really look at saying, hey, maybe you should do this secondary, okay? That's what they do. They help figure you out. Eric Blossfield says, question, I'm about to start with a new therapist. Should I be upfront with them? The answer is yes, and let them know I'm trying to link my depression and anxiety to my chronic pain. I wouldn't really, so should you be upfront with them? The answer is yes. I would frame it a certain way, okay? Saying, hey, man, I got this chronic pain, like I'm dealing with pain in my back or wherever it is, multiple places. It's really affecting my life mentally. I would like to talk about that. And then go from there. Willpower submitted sleep apnea secondary to tinnitus and migraines, rating as an intermediate to weight gain. They did a records-only CMP exam. Yeah, sleep apnea secondary likely ends in an ACE. I'm curious as to how your migraines and tinnitus would lead to weight gain, unless we're talking like super constant debilitating migraines. At that level, though, I think you would be IU for migraines anyways. I can tell you from this comment alone, I'm not really too confident in this claim. I don't like how it's set up. Now, I'm saying that from reading about 15 words. I'm not looking at your evidence, okay? Viral chicken. Clay, do you see a lot of cases where the VA or contractors not using the evidence they are provided? Yeah. Yes. I also see veterans not providing the evidence, and I think that's a two-way street there, okay? But HLRs would not exist if the VA did everything right. Okay, we have a donation. Let me read this text real quick. Okay, the API. First, thank you very much for this. I appreciate it. Certified Barn Door. It's a funny name. The API VA tool says my max estimate date is May 2nd. Is that reliable to expect it to be closed? Is it reliable? No. How I would look at May 2nd is a 30-day window. So from May to what's after May? June? Yeah, from May to June 2nd, you should see some pretty solid movement of your claim. I'd also look at the claim tracker tool if you're looking at that. That's how I would interpret the date. I would not use the word reliable, though. Finally got rated for TBI and added my 50% PTSD. Now TBI at 70. Congrats. TBI is largely roped in with PTSD at that 70% mark. You'll see like spatial disorientation or spatial orientation in that 70% mark there. So very, very common to have that happen. If we send in fully developed claim, how much time to add evidence and can we appeal it within a year? So you can appeal it within a year. If you're sending in like the big three, so to speak, as your fully developed claim, that claim is probably going to move fast. So that's an issue. But it is important to understand what you're saying doesn't make sense, because a fully developed claim from the VA's perspective means you submitted all your evidence. Like that's what an FTC is. You have nothing else to submit, you submitted it. But then there's evidence you want to add. So it's just kind of like apples and oranges. But long story short, you can submit evidence whenever you want. The sooner the better. I would prefer veterans submit all their evidence up front, one shot, and then kind of like file and forget. That would be my recommendation. CMP examiner changed my vertigo claim to a vertigo claimed as Meniere's claimed and got rated at 0, filed for an increase. Will they honor back pay to my original effective date? This is exactly, to answer your question, no. HLR would have been more appropriate, okay? But this is exactly what I talked about in CCK's video on appeals, where the VA is really saying it's an increase, but really the veteran is disagreeing with the decision. So in reality, it's an appeal. And that is, see, members get early access to content here. Watch that. Where is that at? Oh, right here. To answer your question, no, you won't. HLR would have been more appropriate. I'll be assuming you have the evidence to rate higher than 0%. Okay. I'll be on or nuclear chicken, the moderator. Awesome picture there. Makes me think of Chicken Jockey. I have a 10-year-old son who likes Minecraft, so I'll be on Discord if anyone is having issues linking accounts, but probably won't be monitoring the YouTube yet. If you have any Discord-related questions, talk to Nuclear. That's how that works. He's great. Okay. Mo, how's it going? Left 4. Is this the Mo that I know, or is this another Mo? Let me know if you're the Mo that I know. Pretty much check all boxes for mental health DBQ except total social and occupational impairment, and got the one just below that. Could that still possibly result in 100%? Technically, yes, it could still possibly result in 100%. Is it going to? Probably not. The VSR is most likely just going to check the box and agree with the CMP examiner instead of going through it and looking at your 100% mental health. They could, though. It's possible. Viral chicken. Hey, Clay, are you seeing a lot of cases? Already answered that one. Seems to be random. I just purchased a gifted membership and it automatically assigns it. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. All right. You need to set up Nightbot. I don't even know what that is. Wally ranging YouTube. I can tell you that I'm going to look at your YouTube channel, though, if you got one. Wally. Oh, not on this one. Not on this one. Wally ranging YouTube. I don't see your channel if you have one. Nope. Okay. I don't know what you're talking about. Any idea how backed up claims are right now? Yes, I actually just did a video on the backlog. It's like 232,000. And that is, where's that at? Backlog video, backlog. Oh, here it is. There, you can check that out. It's like 230-something thousand. All right. For ED, is there an actual formal diagnosis? Yes. And does that have to come from my primary care? It can come from primary or whoever it is you're seeing, whatever that looks like. Just got in. Any way to get 50% sleep apnea with the proposed changes? Yes, there is. That is explained in this. Let me just navigate to where it's at. Hold on. Right here. Here's the sleep apnea changes. Let me zoom in for you. Okay, is that good? Good enough. You can see the 150, 10 is over there. Okay, so treatment ineffective gets you 50%. All right. Now there's some key verbiage here we need to look at. Treatment's ineffective as determined by sleep study, not determined by you or what you think or what you feel, by sleep study. So it's going to be objective. Or, as an or statement, unable to use treatment due to comorbid conditions and without in-organ damage. Okay, let's look at the note. Qualifying comorbidities, which are this part. Okay, so it's explaining what the or statement is. They are conditions that, in the opinion of a qualified medical provider, again, Not in your opinion, not on what you think, not on what you feel, not even what happens in reality. It's in the opinion of a qualified medical provider. Directly impede or prevent, not makes it hard. Okay? It prevents, not annoying, it prevents the habitual use. So if it happens once, who cares? You got night terrors, who cares? Okay? It's got to be habitual use of a recognized form of treatment shown by sleep study to be effective in the affected veteran's case. So, CPAP is one. It could be a mouth guard. If you can't wear the CPAP because of your comorbid conditions, but yet you can use a mouth guard, guess what? That doesn't count. You're going to be 0%. So to answer your question, is there a way to get 50% still? Yes, but with the added criteria of breaking what treatment ineffective means and comorbid conditions mean, right? In my opinion, it's going to be rare to see 50% for sleep apnea. iOS needs to use Safari and request desktop. I'm lost. Was denied, stating migraines were non-related to sleep apnea, but they never mentioned the portion tinnitus. Should I get a next letter at this point? Yeah, so that goes back. I'm glad you said that. Let me mark this because your previous comment is you submitted sleep apnea secondary to tinnitus and migraines. I'll be honest with you, dude, with the weight gain intermediate step, I don't know who recommended that to you or if you thought of it on your own, but the odds are that's not what I would have done. I see that donation. I'll get to that in a second. That's not what I would have done at all. And then you can see here that you were denied. Okay. Should you get a Nexus letter? That's a you decision. I wouldn't recommend that. I wouldn't recommend sleep apnea secondary to tinnitus and migraines. I would hope you have evidence that suggests your sleep apnea stems from somewhere else and your weight gain stems from somewhere else. If that's the case, and that's the answer of somewhere else that's service connected, that's probably the route that I would go. I hope that makes sense, and I hope it's receptive. I don't want you to take that the wrong way, but that is a bad claim. In my opinion, that's a bad claim. Okay, we got mods in the chat now. That's good. This is good. Okay, let's look at, not required, by the way, mods. If you're listening, you don't have to do that. Okay, claim at step 5, March 27th. How long do I have left? Dude, I totally hate that you donated $2 for this, because the answer is there's not a single person on this world that can give you an accurate assessment. Can't happen. How long do you have left? Well, it's not going to be decided today. We're already almost at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. So it could be tomorrow all the way to, I'd probably say 3 months would be the window I would give you comfortably. I know that's not the answer you want, but that is genuinely the only answer that anyone could give. Sorry. All right, what will happen with legacy caregivers being kicked out of the program? I have no idea. 10 years ago, did sleep apnea test confirm and issue CPAP or CPA machine? An ever pit in a claim? Should I? I'm at 9% now. I'm going to assume you want to submit a secondary claim for sleep apnea. Let me do some math for you because it depends. I'm going to show it. I'm going to show you this math. Get ready for the math wizard here. We'll go to a calculator. We'll go here. We'll go here. We will click mental health at 70, IBS at 30, tinnitus at 10. We'll put in some bilateral factor here. All right, this is 90%. You're at 85%, rounded to 90. If you got sleep apnea service connected right now, you'd be at 93, which is 93 is a lot better than 85, but 93 is still 90. Okay. So the reason I want to show you that is because it depends on where you're at. So let's say you have migraines at 30%. All of a sudden, if you get 50% for sleep apnea, right now, in my opinion, sleep apnea matters a lot more now. So it just depends on where you're at, if you should submit that. I'm looking at your profile picture and you kind of look old. That's not a dig or a joke at all. I'm referring to the 55-year rule. So, based on this comment and your picture, you're pretty safe. And if the sleep apnea claim would push you to 100%, I would absolutely look at that. If it does, you might want to consider front loading some evidence, depending on what your current evidence is. So those are like things to consider outside of, what are things that should be going through your mind if you're questioning whether you should submit a claim or not. And those are just a couple of them. I got denied for secondaries for PTSD. Let me go back to this live here. Okay. I got denied for secondaries for PTSD, migraines, and IBS, and both got denied after a 300-day claim and 3 ACE. Okay. I don't know what your question is. I would look at the reason why you were denied. Were you diagnosed? If not, that's really bad, especially for secondaries. And then if you were diagnosed, then obviously the Nexus is the reason you were denied. They probably looked at Tara as well, assuming you're like a GWAT type veteran. So I would really understand why you were denied before moving forward. Okay. Billy Hartman. Dude, no reason. And you're a mod. Thank you. I'm too old. Should not knock us old folks. That wasn't a knock. I got some old people jokes. That was not one of them. All right. Thank you, Billy. No reason to do that, especially from the mod team. I definitely appreciate it. Can you get paid from the VA if you move to another country? Yeah. You can be 100% P&T in Kentucky today, and tomorrow you move to Italy or Thailand or South Africa. I don't care. You will still get paid. Now, VA care, on the other hand, is going to look a lot different, if existing at all. So just something to consider there. Jeff Russell, thank you for being a member. Says, Clay, I'm dealing with a lot of diagnosed conditions and symptoms similar to what is seen with MUCMIs. Should I approach any MUCMI type of claim? That's a layered question. Okay. I do want to show people what you're talking about, though. We'll go to the Googles here. I totally didn't spell that right, but don't judge me. VA presumptive list. Boom. Boom. VA presumptive list. If you haven't seen this yet, you're missing out. Okay. You scroll down to the Gulf War era and post 9/11. You see MUCMIs. You see big 3 ones here. Then you see the undiagnosed illnesses, which is all these symptoms. I'm assuming because you said a lot, you're talking about this stuff. But regardless. So how do you approach a MUCMI claim? That's hard, dude. MUCMI is really a good way to understand it is the rule of ruling out. So what I mean by that, let's look at chronic fatigue syndrome, which is just a fancy way to say, hey, you're tired all the time. Not just sleepy, but like you're physically, mentally exhausted when you shouldn't be, consistently all the time. Okay, well, why is that? Do you have untreated sleep apnea? Because that would make you fatigued. And I don't know what goes involved in a chronic fatigue syndrome diagnosis or undiagnosed illness, but it's a lot. And so you would have to be like, well, it's not that, it's not that, it's not that. It could be that. Let's explore it. We explored it. Nope, it's not that. And that's how you would approach the MUCMI claim. And so your medical record should be jam-packed with what you don't have. That way the outcome can be, hey, this veteran, it's at least as likely as not, this veteran has chronic fatigue syndrome or Gulf War syndrome, right? So that's how I would approach that. I hope that answers your question, at least from like a practicality perspective there. Hey, we got our new member. Thank you for joining. I appreciate that. You should absolutely download Discord. It's good. And another donation, dude. So you have 3 today. I definitely appreciate that. And there's just no answer for this one here. Okay. What's the average radiculopathy percentage you see? Yeah, 10 and 20. 10%, 20%, hands down. It's largely 10% in the arms and 10 and 20 in the legs. Can it be higher? Absolutely. In fact, I just had a veteran who had 30% in his left arm and 40% in his right arm, which for bilateral factor, that's huge. Like that's a bilateral factor that's actually going to have an impact on his overall rating. And then 130%, 140% are just really good ratings to begin with on their own. But largely 10% for the arms and then 10 and 20 for the legs is what I see. And it's not even close either. Like it's if someone tells me they have radiculopathy, like I would bet money it's 10%. Mark Soley. I'm presumptively rated for peripheral neuropathy due to Agent Orange. I have copies of HL reviews awarding sleep apnea as a secondary. I'm so confused here. I don't know. I'm trying to make a question. I just don't know what the question would be. That's an alarm. I'm going to do this for I'm going to answer a few more, and we'll get down to as many as I can. If you want to reword that question, Mark, go ahead and throw it in the chat, and I'll see it over here on my live monitor. Okay. Got out in June 89. 3-9. 3rd Battalion 9th Marines was the first unit I was in, dude. So Death in the Dark or striking. I have lower back, neck, and shoulder arthritis as well as knee pain. At this point, how should I approach the claim? Okay. I would want to know your evidence from service. I want to know if you've been currently diagnosed. That part's really going to matter. Those aren't my main concern. I guess evidence from service is a main concern. My biggest concern, I should say, is your any evidence from 89 to 2025. That's a big gap, dude. Okay. If it's blank, the VA is probably going to deny you. Just food for thought. And so what is your healthcare or evidence from 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, blah, 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 all the way to 2025? You're really going to want to fill that gap, which is not the easiest thing to do. Caleb, thank you for being a member. I appreciate that. It says, file the supplemental claim to a denied supplemental last year. Original was 20, but didn't file the supplemental until 2024. The back pay, if any, would be 2024 is for sleep apnea. Yes. It would be on your whatever is within 1 year. So let's say you were denied in 2024. If you did another supplemental or the original supplemental from 2024, then that would be the effective date. It would not go back to 2020. I think that's what you're asking. So it would be on the within that intent to file, or if you appealed the 2024, if it's within 1 year, it would still go back to the 2024 effective date, assuming it would meet the criteria to be awarded that effective date. Okay, let's answer a few more here. CFR 38, go read it. Set up your direct deposit before you move overseas, for sure. Something happened on my thing here. Okay. 2 CMP exams went great. VA canceled other exams. I believe a good sign. Same conditions, different conditions. What are we talking about? I'm confused. Repping that Grand Canyon shirt. Go Lopes. Go Lopes. The Lopes did make it to the NCAA tournament this year. They did get absolutely hammered by Maryland. But, hey, I'm in Grand Canyon right now. I have to do a paper. It's due tonight. I'm really not looking forward to it. That's what I got. David Bresk says, got decision. Oh, use your JIBO, by the way. That's what I should use that for. Got decision letter for increased but deferred for sleep apnea secondary to sinusitis, even though the VA did a sleep study and prescribed a CPAP. The VA can provide you all the health care they want. It has nothing to do with if you're service connected or not. Like you're talking apples and oranges over here. Deferred just means that they had a decision on some, not all. So instead of waiting, they kicked you what they had, and they're still working those claims that were deferred. Sleep apnea secondary to sinusitis is not a slam dunk claim, believe it or not. Okay. Stuck on step 7 for a week. IU working on evidence for TBI. Any resources, tips? Are you saying you're TDIU and you're currently working? Because that's bad. Are you saying you're wanting to get on TDIU and you have TBI? If that's the case, I'm not saying don't worry about TDIU. I would worry about submitting your claims. Focus on the evidence of submitting your claims on the front end. TDIU will come on the back end. TDIU is not a claim. Not in the same sense as like TBI is or anything else. Okay, I want to make sure I didn't miss that dude's chat if he said something. I don't think he did. No, okay. One claim appeal on 123.23. Okay. One claim appeal on 123.23. Retroactive to 11/23/10. Was it a queue? Or did you submit like a board of appeals and you've just been waiting that whole time? I would just look at the effective date. If you got back pay, the effective date is 2010, and then 2010 is the answer to your question here. Just look at the effective date. I don't care when you won your appeal. I don't care whenever you submitted the original claim. Look at the effective date. That will answer your question. The effective date is what matters. Okay. This will be the last question. Then I'm going to go pick up the girls to go to the dentist, which is going to suck. 2-year-old and 1-year-old at the dentist today. That's what's in store. Nate, thank you for being a member, PK. Navy retired. Thank you for your service. Just got a notice at TRICARE. We're no longer prescribed Nurtec. Any idea what I should ask my neurologist to change me to? I do have an idea. Okay. First off, I want to say your healthcare is your healthcare. So what works for me or works for Jim Bob may not work for you. But I'll go through what I use. My whole thing, I use 3 things. First off, I use GammaCore. Non-invasive. You put some gel on it. Takes 2 minutes. That's it. I have a video coming out on this, I think today. Yeah, in like an hour. All right. Did it already come out? I think it already came out. I think it just came out. I'll link it down below so everyone can go watch it. It did. It just came out. Okay. So make sure you watch this. New migraine video. Watch that. I explain it. I also take this medication, starts with an A. Let me just pull up my VA stuff right now, and I'll tell you exactly what it says. So GammaCore, number 1, preventative. Amitriptyline. I'm just going to type that in the chat. Amitriptyline, HCl. That helps with migraines, with anxiety, with sleep issues. It's awesome. Okay. Also preventative. And so that's my preventative treatment is GammaCore, which is super awesome. And then the AMI medication. And then I also take a rizatriptan. I'll just put that in the chat too. Rizatriptan. And that's for like the onset. Which does have side effects, but it's not as bad as the Suma. Anyways, yes. Hold on. Billy said it the best here. I have to go look at that now. He says, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the Discord server. Yes, yes, and yes. With that, I'm on my way to the dentist with 2 little girls. Definitely pray for me. It's going to be wild.